live. How's it going out there? Hope everyone's doing. Realize this mic is up. Yeah? Yeah, okay. 90%. Figuring the pick. Or and I'm gonna get going on the build. Alright. Changing workstations. So the design concept for this is really just based on, I wanted something that was modular to where if I did, I do this homebrew, which is a wide body, and then the next one is maybe a standard body, or let's say I need to work on a machine, I can pull a playfield out and just drop it into this rotisserie, and be able to adjust and accommodate different size playfield. That's really what I'm trying to do with it. But I wanted to do something a little bit different. The modularity is going to come from using extruded aluminum. So in this case, a lot of people are familiar with 80/20. This is that same profile except from a company called Parco, because it's cheaper than 80/20. All of the components for it are sourced either from Parco or McMaster-Carr. I did buy some of the plates from 80/20 before I realized that I could buy it from Parco. Could be even cheaper, who knows? But the total cost out of pocket for this is around $500, which seems like a lot, but I think for what you get in modularity, and especially in the area of trying to test out homebrew builds, I think this is going to be a pretty nice rotisserie. Like one of the things that I want to do with it is build some plates that allow me to attach flipper buttons, so I can just play test it while it's there. And if you look at the rendering on the left side there, it's set in there using the hardware that's already on the playfield. So the brackets, the mount underneath, and the brackets, the mount on the front for hanging the playfield, can just stay on the playfield and then drop into this rotisserie. And it's designed so that this this hanger here, this will set in the groove of 80/20. And then I have some toggle clamps that I plan to figure out a way to attach them to the extruded aluminum, so that you can just drop a playfield in, lock the toggle clamp down, and you're good to go. Some of the other rotisseries out there, you have to like put a C-clamp on, and it's usually you're just setting the playfield on some like angle iron or something like that and clamping it in place with C-clamps. What I kind of wanted to stay away from that for two reasons. My playfield has mechs even at the farthest back point of the wood, so you wouldn't be able to really set that on a ledge or anything to clamp. And then I also don't want to be clamping against the wood itself. I mean, I know you can put some padding in between but I wanted something that was simple to just like drop in place and then you're good to go. So we'll kind of get into the design concept here. I guess let me start by opening up the extruded aluminum and get that out. Ready to go. Actually pretty nice packaging on this. They put some wood blocks on the end there so it never busts through. That's nice. Let's see what's going to be the best way to get this out of here. Just like that. Alright. Done with that box. We'll get these all cut out of here and kind of set to the side and organized. And if anyone has questions, feel free to ask away. I'll be trying to monitor chat as we go through. And if there's any issues with audio or video, also feel free to post in chat. I'll do my best to fix it, but it's only so much I can control. I'm gonna just kind of start setting this stuff aside. So those should be my 28-inch pieces. These should be the 14s. Yep, Rampant Slug playfield cut went as good as I could have hoped. I expected more hiccups than I had, so I'm happy with that. Yeah, it was like probably an 8-hour day of cutting or something like that. But I spent like a couple hours trying to troubleshoot some issues with the alignment when I flipped it over to do the backside. But I eventually got that figured out. And then just recently, I just this last week, I did the clear coating on the playfield, and it's currently curing. So that should be pretty much in a good place once I get this rotisserie built. Yeah, so I thought I had the alignment stuff figured out, and it ended up being a really stupid mistake on my part when I was setting up the G-code. Ended up being, so my blank of wood is, let me get these out of here real quick. And I'll go grab the piece of paper that has the dimensions on it. Okay. So my play field, where are we at? It's this piece, right? Yep. Maybe? Not this piece. Another scrap. There it is. Oh, okay. So my blank piece of wood was 608 millimeters wide, and my playfield was my actual file to cut is 606.425 millimeters wide. When I was doing the setup file for the backside, I forgot to shift over my setup stock so that it was actually in the correct corner. So all my G code was 1.425 millimeters shifted the wrong direction. And luckily I caught it in like the second job that I was running for the backside, but it just took me forever to figure out why it was wrong. So really just dumb mistake. Other than that though, like if I had the setup stock in the correct spot and the origin in the correct spot in the file, then the tool paths would have run perfectly fine, alignment wise. And they ended up running fine alignment wise. It just took some figuring out because I screwed it up. So what we got here, I've got two 57-inch long pieces of aluminum. I've got two 50 inches, and these will be the top, like the main frame. And then my ends are 28-inch long. And then my, I'll call them risers or whatever, are 14. There was a lot of beer drank that day. Not much by me, but a lot of the people that were here, we were drinking quite a bit. Because I set it up as kind of like a party out there. I had two machines set it up, and we had Indus coverage on. We got some Famous Dave's barbecue. That's some good stuff. It was all in all a pretty good day. Yes, so this is 1.5 inch, and it's the ultra light series. So like if you look at the profile, if you look at the profile, it's a lot more hollowed out because I don't need a whole ton of strength. But yeah, this is 1.5 inch. Inch to me just seemed like it was a little bit not big enough because I used 1.5 inch for my streaming rig, that the design that Carl put together. So I used 1.5 inch for that, and I liked the rigidity of it. So I thought I'd be fine just doing the same here. So I'm gonna set. So, whoops, sorry about that. That was loud. I don't know. This is a new microphone for me, so might be picking up a lot of loud noise. Anywho, so let's go through the bag of goodies. I guess we'll start with what's out here. I've got two 1-inch shafts. They're just it's a D profile shaft, so that way set screws can make contact with it. So I got two of those. I've got two of these bearing units, so it's just a bearing block with a mount and everything. That's that. Just a ball bearing. I got two of those. Just add to my trash pile in the corner. There's the other one. I have two of these. It's made for just like structural tubing for like building carts and shelves and that kind of stuff. But I'm using these to attach the shaft to the actual part of the rotisserie that spins. So it's got a set screw in it, and that'll attach to one of these 28-inch pieces here. That'll be for that shaft mounts to it. So I got 2 of those, 1 for each end. So these are supposed to be for 1-inch shaft, but it's a little bit loose in there. Not like terribly loose, and I'm sure once I have the set screw tightened down, it should be fine, but I wish the tolerance was a little bit tighter on that. Probably should be fine. So in this bag, I've got, these are just 2 U-bolt things. I don't know if I'm going to actually need to use these or not, but I got them so that when I have the toggle clamp this hanger in place on the aluminum, I got these as like a fail-safe to make sure the toggle clamp can't pop open. I don't think that I'll need them because I messed with that toggle clamp enough to where, I mean, you can't pull that thing off of whatever it's clamping down. It's got a really firm grip. So these might be like a safety lock on it if it's gonna be in the rotisserie for a very long time or something, but should be fine. This is just a bag of stuff I'm not gonna use. Oh, I know. Trust me, Borg Dog. Like, I was probably for a solid month trying to think like what would be the best design that I could do for a rotisserie, and I settled on this extrusion aluminum because this fits so perfectly in that channel, and there's enough room in there to where if you look at my design, I have it so that it's pitched at a 6.5 degree angle, so it can be clamped in place, sit in that channel really nicely at 6.5 degrees with no problem. That'll be awesome. The part that I think is going to take some refinement is for how these hangers, for how these mount. And I'll go over that in a minute. Yeah. So I don't have experience welding either. My dad is actually a really good welder. So if I wanted to, I could have done a welded solution. But really what I wanted to do with this was similar to like the streaming rig that I have, that Carl designed. I wanted something that anyone could go out there with a parts list that I'm going to put together a parts list and instructions and stuff, considering, you know, if this all works. And then I'll put it out there on Pinside for people. But like, I wanted to make something that's easy for people to assemble themselves. And mind you, while the price is around $500 right now, a pin dock is cheaper. But if you get like the pin dock plus all of the extras, it's probably right up around there. And it's not quite as modular as this will be. So I think the trade-offs of having the modularity with this and the adjustability on different widths and all of this and that, and how nice and easy it is just to drop these hangers in the channel, I think this will be a good solution for people that don't want to buy something that's pre-made and they can't really modify after the fact. This allows you, if there's something you don't like, you can go through and, you know, make a revision, make it work right for you. Yeah, so that bag of stuff that I threw over to the corner is actually from this. What I should do, let me think about this. I need to have like a camera where you can see up close what I'm doing, because this is just like a top-down view. I'm gonna throw another camera in this scene so that you can see a little bit closer what I'm doing. One sec. There we go. So, we'll kind of set this up and position it a little bit. See what's going on. I must have hit the first thing. Good. Hello. Oh. This. There. I can at least see what I'm talking about up close. Better. So this, what I was talking about earlier for these guys, this is just like a standard fence gate latch. So nothing too crazy. Usually they're mounted on a fence like this, and the pin goes in, gets locked into place. And then the gravity kind of pulls it down to lock it back in place. So what I designed for the purposes of the rotisserie is just taking one of these mechanisms. You take this, and that gets set in place when you set it on aluminum. And then this is just a little latch, just a spring that holds it in place, and like you can pull up on this as much as you want and it's going nowhere. So that'll allow you to spin it in theory. But what I want to do to make sure that there's no chance that this could like slip out and past it, I need to design some sort of a plate for the back here that actually attaches. So like you could take, for example, so just like a piece of angle iron or something, and then when this is like mounted in place, it would be kind of something close to that. And then pull the spring off. So when it's just kind of waiting, ready to receive the pin, like that, and then this will just kind of slide in between, really, and you lock it in place. So we'll see how well that ends up working. That might take some revisions to actually get it functional. But yeah, so this is that. Just spring that I got off McMaster car, keyring. Nothing crazy, it's just like a little safety latch. Back out of the way. We'll get into the 80-20 stuff in a second here. So let's see, these are 1/4x20 button head screws. These will be for attaching some of the components that have to be drilled through the aluminum. Some screws. Then these are the standard screws that will be used for attaching to the slot. Here's a taco clamp I'll be using. So I just got a pack of these off of Amazon. So these are the ones that's going to take a little bit of modification because I want them to mount on the rail like that. You'll probably have to drill through the rail. That's where these longer screws come into play. So you'd put the screw through, put it out in the bottom. But what I don't like about that is that it's not adjustable. Like, I want to be able to have it so that you can slide this back and forth depending on the location of your hangers. So that's the part that I kind of want to really think on the design on. See what I can do. I prefer not to have to drill through this if I can avoid it. I mean, I don't have a problem drilling, but it's just kind of gets away from the idea of having something that's mostly all modular without requiring much work. So I got 2 of those toggle clamps. The other one. These are some toggle push-pull clamps, and these are kind of tiny, but these, originally what I was going to do with these is use it to lock the rotation angle in place, and it probably still will end up being using these, but that's got to take a little bit of refinement in the design as well. So here's another one of those gate latches. So it comes with like the screws and the actual pin that attaches to your gate, whatnot. So I'll just be taking one piece out of there. There we go. I can set that bag over to the side. Here's a bag of those springs that I bought from McMaster Car that I'll be using for latching those pin lock things. So I need to get a key ring. Didn't buy key rings, I just gotta go pull one off of a key. But that'll be for that. Bring down. Alright. Set the rest of those off to the side. There's my extra toggle clamps that won't be used in this. Those over there. Here's a bunch of 1/4-20 lock nuts. So if I ever do have to drill through and lock something in place, that's what those will be for. Here's all of the nuts for the aluminum. These are, I believe, 5/16. Yep, 5/16 by 18. Plates for the corners of the main frame. And then these plates are for the frame that the playfield attaches to. I didn't want any interference on the inside corner of those. So these are just some angle brackets there. 2 of these 4-hole plates. That'll be for how I mount the pin lock in receiver thing. And these will also be used for mounting that. And then I got one of these blocks or plates that the idea is this will be used for a mechanism that locks the rotation angle in place. So let's get the extra stuff out of the way. Okay. That's all the extra stuff. So should begin with assembly, I think. I will start by assembling the playfield frame. Let's get that done, which will be 2 medium length pieces, or 1/4 of my longest pieces. Then 2 of these 28-inch pieces. Then, really, I should just get the rest of the stuff off the table. release the rest of the extruded aluminum off the table because I don't need those right now. Okie dokie. So we have these pieces here, and for this design, these 28-inch pieces are the ends. So I'll be secured like that. Well, my tools are kind of in the way too, but make do with what we got. Camera back out here. Okay. So I need the corners. And for now, I just have 4 of these corners to put this frame together. If it ends up being that the frame needs a little bit more rigidity, I'll get another 4 of these plates so that I can put them on the opposite side, but I would prefer to not have to add unnecessary cost to this. So let's get out some of the nuts. Alright. And what we'll do is we'll go through start just getting this set up with nuts to be in place. Much like that. And then get the nuts aligned. Slide that panel there, and we'll do the same with the other 2 holes. Probably would have been easier just to put these on before but whatever. Here's the hole. Alright. Okay. And then same thing. And I get those nuts aligned as I slide it together. That. Then we need oversize. Going to be just my luck that I have wrong size attachment for measure. So I guess I can just get them finger tight for now. And then we're going to use a square. Make sure this is actually here. Right. Trying to think if I have Allen wrenches. Looks taller than my model. You mean the aluminum itself? Nice if I can get those. I'll take it. Well, the pieces are the right length. Should be good. This will. No. I am currently working on making the actual frame that holds the playfield together, or holds the playfield in place. A little tough to work on this table with all the other crap I have in it. Sorry if there's loud, abrupt noises. I make a mess. Yeah, so the part that I'm building first is the actual main frame part of it. Like, the part that holds the playfield. And then I'll build the structure that supports the whole assembly and the bearing blocks and all that. And these are just the cheap economy nuts that they sell. I don't know the exact difference between the nuts as far as rigidity goes. I'm hoping these will do the trick. They're a bit cheaper. So I'm gonna find those nuts. Slide it into the channel. And get the long piece. Thing. Right. Or way off camera. Whatever. I'm just gonna get everything pretty close, and then I'll square it here when I actually have a wrench that I torque down. Okay. Oh, jeez. There we go. Then let's do the other piece. There. Same process. Nuts started on each of these. Or attempts to. And once I get this frame together, kind of set it off to the side and out of the way. Some of these don't want to get started on those threads as easy. All right. All those in that channel, these two. There we go. And one more to go. Beats. Okie dokie. There we go. And then get these lined up. That's in place. And back that one out just a little bit. There we go. All that's mostly more or less good to go. Man, I'm disappointed that I didn't check to make sure I had the right size bit for my drill. Or we'll just get in tightened. And the last corner. Here the ends are flush. Pretty much where okay. There's that. Like I said, I'll worry about how square it is once I can actually get something I can torque them down with. So then, next I'm gonna at least try to mount these. Good point. Should be pretty close. I think as long as I make all the ends flush, be good. 60 and an 8. $59 7/8, so it's close. So holes on this actually worked out to be the right size for these. Very nice. Some of these things are going to require me to actually like drill out the holes. And these are half, right? That to be roughly 12 1/4 in from the end. Actually, right just where it's at right now. So that's centered there. Then one of these will get mounted in place there. The lever on the other end. I'm hitting microphones, just everything's a hot mess. Alright. Other one taken care of. I do like how tight the fit is on these bolts. Here. That's going to keep it definitely less sloppy. And quarters right about. Pretty good. Alright, so that's that frame. Alright. Make a little bit more table space here because these other pieces are longer. Alright, this should be a little bit better working room. Alright, so for this part, the long pieces are like our base rails. And then these 14-inch pieces will mount on top. So that way you can, if for whatever reason need to adjust the length, you can slide these however you need to. So we'll get the other bundle of brackets. All right. So I will put these on the outside. And again, I'm hoping that once I torque these in place, it gives enough rigidity to it. Otherwise, if I have to add more plates, it's gonna add probably another $100 to the cost. Which, that's ridiculous. It's just absurdly priced, in my opinion. You're telling me to machine a piece of aluminum that one of these plates right here, $10, $12? Come on. Okay. That's there. Align this now. Get it tightened in place. One's lined up here. Fairly close. Yeah. Table has a little bit of a bow to it. Okay. We'll do the same on the other end. Plate ready to go. Put the T-nuts on. I think, contrary to popular belief, this extra webbing right here on this plate, fill out this corner, does nothing. But that's just me. Honestly, don't think it adds any. I mean, unless you're putting it under like a high load, does nothing for rigidity, because this is already a 1/4 inch thick piece of aluminum. Just might look cooler. Alright. And the other. Square it up. Close. Go see if I can find another Allen wrench. I don't think this is size. It is not. Yeah, okay. I'm gonna run out the barn real quick, get what I need to actually torque these down. I'm gonna be back in. Couple different options. Brought back the correct size Allen set, and then I've got, because what I have been using is this, I brought back what I would need if I wanted to actually use my impact drill. I'm thinking I'm just gonna actually hand tighten. Okay. Right. Solid. Yeah. I like how these are going to tighten down. They'll be just fine. Which is good, because I'd rather not spend money on more plates. These pull in nice and snug too. Don't need anything other than these economy nut. Right. Here's a rock solid frame. Thinking. Okay, so that's gonna sit up like that. We'll have pieces that go across. Across that way. Fingers. I don't think I need to slide any other peanuts into the vertical channels. Or really. Okay. I think these will have to go on one of my cross pieces. And so will this. So I should just slide those in place before I attach it. And these will be used to secure a piece another piece of just the 15 by 15, which I don't currently have, but that'll be what the push-pull toggle clamp for locking the angle in place. Slide these in. Care about tightening them. So not until I have that piece side. Better to do it now than have to take it apart later. And then I will also need bearing block on top. Let's see, if I make that the outside. So that'll all be just that for now. And if I ever get to the point where I design like some custom plates to hold flipper buttons and whatnot, I'll just use some drop-in T-nuts for that. I don't have to take it all apart and get it all out of square. Bearing block. Place. I'll center it all after it's all together. I just want to make sure it's in the channel before I close off the end of it or anything. These bearings were like 10 or 12 bucks. So not bad at all. Just it's a ball bearing that comes in its own housing. You can just shove 2 bolts through and yeah, work out nicely. Check this out. See that? But I left half of that. That's fine. Fix that. Alright. Fix that real quick. Cross piece. Floor for now. back down in place. Cocked over a little bit. Pull it backward, maybe? Knock that loose. Wedged itself in there good. There we go. Try to do this right this time, huh? It's fixed. Alright, so that's that one. The other end, side or whatever. Get some of these T-nuts on there. All right. That and last. It's easier for me to slide this one direction versus the other. Two more. Okay. So I'm actually looking. Looks like I actually bought 8 of these plates. Oh no, yep. Come on. Bought 8 because I was thinking I bought extras so that I could hear both sides of the frame. Get all the way in place. Finger tight. Grip. Pretty good on square. Tighten down the rest of the way. There. Plates are ready to go. That place. Finger tight first. And other stand up piece on here. Those what tight? And where? Then all right. One more round. Okay. Good there. So I will need to do the across the top. will be next. I'm just gonna get these plates prepped and ready to go. And get those roughly in place. Right. To the other end. Open up the new box of bolts. Making progress. Tools ready to go. Those finger tight as well. Okay. So, I get one of my 28-inch front one. And set that into place. Those finger tight. And we'll kind of work on getting that weird. Just like still looking good. Hey, what's up, Turbo? Doing rad. Hanging in there. Really noisy. I apologize. All fun. My brother and I got our tickets to MGC. Got our room booked and our train booked. Looking forward to another fun year. Sure. Looking forward to it. Last year was my first time. That was a blast. So much stuff to do. Tons of great games there. This year I want to try to explore Milwaukee a little bit more. Wrap this other cross piece. Hoping by Expo I'll have a functioning game with a really skeleton code, really. But hoping that I can have this ready to go and make it to Expo this year. Yeah, so I figured out what mics I wanted for all this stuff. I actually ordered through a company called Parco because they're far cheaper than 8020, but it's the same exact name brand. I think Parco is out of I could have gone and picked it up if I wanted to, but shipping was like $50 or something. It was a lot. But yeah, I'm never gonna order through 8020 again. I mean, everything significantly cheap. Parco. I would recommend. I'm like, Parco. My goal with this though is I'm eventually gonna have, you know, once this is all ironed out, I'll put together like a build list and some instructions so people can build the same rotisserie if they want to. All in, it was like $500, which is still a lot. And it could have been less, but like I ordered my plates through 8020, which I shouldn't have because I didn't realize Parco sold them. I was just kind of in a hurry to order stuff. But the plates were also like, were $3 cheaper on Parco per plate. Yeah, I have a mobile rig in my basement. I actually need to chop off like 1.5 inches height so I can roll it underneath the beam to the other side of my basement. Right now I have to like tip it over and like scoot it underneath. And it's a pain because I built mine with speaker mounts on it. I've actually got some JBL 4-inch studio monitors. Well, I've got 2 of those mounted to it that I can jack into the audio of every game, and that all plugs in and routes through. I've got like a mobile projector stand that, you know, back when they had projectors and tools and stuff. overhead projector. So I got like one of those stands that I put my PC on, and on the bottom shelf of it is actually a 10-inch subwoofer, so that I can move it from game to game and plug it in and get audio through all. And I can EQ it. Making sure I keep this square as everything tightens down. Doesn't need to be perfect, but I do want it to be, 98. Okay, that end is on. Last. All right. So I'm thinking I'll put the plates on first, and I'll bring the other end and set it up on the table. Yeah, we'll do it that way. That way I can just kind of set it all together, and it'll be set up on the table and ready to go. And all the plates outside of the frame, because I want to avoid any kind of interference with the playfield. There's plenty of clearance, but be safe. Plus, that's even more room on the inside for when I'm doing wiring and stuff. I don't have to like try to get around a plate. Drop the nut. Same thing, just get that hand tight for now. 4 more bolts. Just a little bit to get started on that thread. All right, see you, Turbo. Have a good night if I don't see you again. Okay. Adequate space up here. Set the T-nuts aside for now too. Lined. Ready. Do one end at a time for a second. Squirted. A little bit. Go. All right, we're all the way on. What way do I want to do this? I think we'll just camera. Go. Get it set in place, and then I'll square it up as I tighten this stuff down. Everything tight. That makes once it's all loosely tight, it's a lot easier to square it up and get it to hold its. You know, it's hard to do. Don't have table room. So, oh, squirt there. It's a little hard to perfectly compare. I don't have enough hands. We're pretty close. Work it all down one more time. Oh yeah. That end is good. Alright, so for this end, loosely tight. That's on. I need to flip this thing around so I can actually square under it. We're up. Right. A little harder to square up this end of it. Where's it? Okay. We're good. Okay. Up. So, one end. Get my mounts in. Which I didn't think earlier. Let's see. In for the plate. Okay. Pull these out of the bag. These black underneath the go on there like up and back. We just pop off. Tighten any of these down. Hold on. Ratchet. For reverse. Alright. Needed. Inside, I need one. That. Okay. There. There. And these are just going to be tacked in place for now. Because the adjustment on these will come when I actually go to put a playfield in. And then the same for the plates on the reverse side. These plates will require me to tap the thread, or tap like the center hole or whatever you want to call it, on the 15 by 30 stuff. So that will receive that. And then I just need to tap the holes with 5/16 by 18 to secure those blocks there. But mostly I just needed to get that off so I could put those in. Now we can reassemble the end frame here. That. Just give everything a little bit of a torque down. I'll square it up. right. Place. Up. Much. Much this way. There's kind of. Corner's good. Good. Getting down good. The other side should be fairly close. Oh. And there's 2, 8. Loose. Just to give, I'm gonna square it up. too long still. Yep. Alright, speed square. Oh, what's up? How's it going, Rod? Oh. Actually hand tighten these. That is exactly what it is. Man, you are very observational. I am making a modular rotisserie that I designed myself using stuff from McMaster Car and from 80/20 equivalent. So right now I am squaring up the frame that will support the playfield. Close. Could be better. But there's not much I can do here. I think, since all the other three corners are. I'm just gonna tighten this one up and call it good. Enough. There's a nice solid frame. Okay, I'm gonna check the bearing on the other end. That needs to be centered. That is working. Oh. Call it 11 and 11, 8. That is centered there. My shaft, E-shaft. Throw that in bearing. size. Size bigger. That's the size. Okay. That ready to go. Other bearing. Then what I'll do is mount the shafts to my frame. Different size. One more. Okay. All right, shaft is secured on that end. Go. Needs a little love tap. All right, and which side? Side. Got what side my mount point is. Right there. Let that sit there for a second. Okay. So, did some assembly. So, on the inside, I'm going to use this. Quick. And all of them. Sorry if this is loud. A little bit more. Okay. See if I can do this without dropping it. So this here. That needs to slide. Looks like. Knock those loose down there too. Ends are supposed to be on the inside. It's gonna be easier if I just take this down. A little funky because it's putting grain on the bottom. But for now, just repositioned and tighten one down so it doesn't fall out on me. Then flip it over and do the on the bottom. Okay. Same on the top. Which, let's see. Every one of these is going to need a little love tap. And on the inside, gotta bust that. Okay. And slide the inside there. Lost that end. Bolt. end loose. That should loose. Get in there. The whole world is falling apart right now. Alright. Put it. End is being the turd. For that. There we go. Now we're good. Everything kind of lined up. Right. All right. All right. Now I gotta square it all again. Flush. This will be easier to square up on top table. Of course, I just pulled it apart. Struggle. Now that I think about it, probably won't be able to square it on the table because of these two plates here. Oh, the old-fashioned method. Let's get it flush and in place first. I got excited because it's close to done. Of course, with my luck, I assembled it. All right. And drop those. Are there? Squaring's tough, I tell you. Whoops. Good. this horn is pretty close. All right. There. Corner final tight. Move on to the last corner. Fairly close. Tighten down, and we can try to mount it to our frame correctly. All right. I believe I did. Just make sure they're tight. We're not. Okay. Getting this side. That's okay. Now we're good there. Now, main frame back on the table. Make room for it. Alright. Frame is back on the table. And slide the bearing back on shaft. End is on. And I need to get the this end for the bearing block. Trying to get up. What did I do for or I want to try to turn it first. So let's loosen it. There. Oh, how far out? That end. Maybe it's on that end. Close. Now I can type. Here. Attachment point here. over tighten that block. That screws on my bearing block are tight. Alright. That's that. Let me make sure the mic's out of the way. Move the camera. Yeah. Okay. As far as like assembly or sheet. What else can I do? So like there's these gotta go on there. I guess I can at least get those in place. But I still have to tap the end of them. Although I don't know if I actually want to get those in place because I need to take them off to tap the ends anyways. And these will have to be modified. Just a little bit. So, holes kind of line up with the slots, but don't, so I need to actually line those holes out just a little bit. And then that'll allow me to attach that, and then when it's mounted to this part here, you'll be able to slide this back and forth depending on the width of your playfield. Then these hangers here will attach to your playfield. And then that in place there. And then you can tell like this is balanced because by adding that hanger it wants to rotate. Right now it's sitting still. I'll set that hanger on there. Yeah, so your playfields will be able to just drop right in here. Hangers will sit right in the slot of the extrusion. Toggle clamps. I have to figure out how this is going to work. But the toggle clamps will really let it spin on me. Toggle clamps will mount on the rail. Right now I would have to drill through the rail and bolt it in place. But I would like to get to a point where you don't have to like permanently put a hole in the rail. I'd like to have some sort of a sled for it that rides in this rail. you can adjust it based on playfield. Or the other option is mount it with 2 bolts there. I developed some sort of a bracket for the back side that wraps around underneath. I don't like that. Really, if I can find a way to get this centered there, then you clamp it in place, going anywhere. That's the thought process. Good. Today, we'll call that a lot of good progress. So, I appreciate you tuning in if you were here. Appreciate it as always. I don't know if I'll stream any more of the build of this or not. I might just show the finished product, because eventually the next stream is going to be assembling the playfield. Whitewood. Which, I can at least show you that real. So that's it. Appreciate you all tuning in. I hope you enjoyed the stream and learned yourself something new. And tune in next time. Oh man. That way. So I appreciate you. Played what you saw. If you didn't, sorry. Didn't. Coming.